This series is made possible by the generous donation of Stifel Financial and viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to Where Do We Go From Here? This is a series of programs dealing with local issues that have larger than local impact, airing on Nevada County Television and also archived on YouTube at the NevadaCountyTV.org website. We're dealing with the issue of Centennial Dam, which involves many organizations and agencies. It's a local issue, but it involves a complexity that really calls for education and a lot of interviews. And we're here today with Wanda Enos Batchelor, who is the spokesperson for the local Nisenan Kelly Family of Nevada City, and Clyde Prout III, who's tribal chairman of the Colfax-Todds Valley Consolidated Tribe. So welcome to the both of you. It's a privilege to have you here, and I want to really thank you for being here, and I'm really just very appreciative of the kind of contributions that we are looking forward to hearing from you, because you, more than anyone, represent a history and a culture that predates my being here and a lot of being here. So why don't we start with you, Wanda, and talk a little bit about who you are, where you grew up, a little bit of history before we delve into the dam.
Excellent. Homokani, Wanda Enos Batchelor, Nisenan Chikubakandi di Wokadotna. And in the Nisenan language of my grandmother, Wanda Enos, my great-grandmother, I introduced myself in our language because our language is the connection to the land. Our language identifies who we are and where we come from. And the different dialects also identify where we're from. There were numerous villages up in this area. Wokadotna is my great-grandfather, Lewis Kelly. A lot of people know him as Chief Laluk from the Nevada City area. That was his village. And my mother was the last female born at the Wokadotna site. And so my mother now is almost 83. And her name was Rose Patsy Kelly, and she was raised by her grandparents, Naomi Wallace and Lewis Kelly, right here in Nevada City area. And so when we have decided as a family collectively to come forward and to speak our truth, so that we let the general public know that we are here, we've always been here, we always will be here. But as the indigenous peoples from this homeland, it's vital that we educate everyone into regards to the issues and concerns that we have, as well as finding our voice. I only speak for my family, the Nisenan Kelly family of Nevada City. I'm not affiliated with the Nevada City Rancheria, and that's another political entity that they do what they do. But I felt that it was a time for us to step forward and speak our truth, because the ancestral knowledge that we carry forward, our family, the Kelly Enos family, we still practice our dance songs, and we are doing a Master Apprentice program with my mother to bring back the two dialects of my great-grandfather, Lewis Kelly, as well as my great-grandma, Lizzie Enos from Chukapakande. And so the connection of these lands here in Nevada City area, as well as the Clipper Gap, Christian Valley, Meadow Vista area of my Enos family, is the vast importance of sharing what we can do to develop steps to moving forward. One of the greatest things that we have developed is having the collaboration with Circle and with other like-minded individuals to educate about how do we work together in regards to not only addressing some of the environmental issues, but also providing a presence of the indigenous peoples. And I certainly do not speak for all of the indigenous Nisenan people. There's hundreds, but we thought as the spokespersons, it's time for us to step up, speak our truth, and let our voice be heard, and also to open that two-way honest communication in regards to where do we go from here.
Great, thank you. Clyde?
I'm Clyde Prout III. I am the youngest tribal chairman of the Colfax-Todds Valley Consolidated Tribe of the Colfax Ranch area. My family is the Prout, Prout, Gilbert, Dick, and Sue Head families. Traditionally, my family comes from the Colfax area, but my grandmother's family, the Gilberts, come from the Auburn area. So we've been here generations. I think I'm the 7th generation of documented Prout in Colfax, which comes from my grandmother Jane Prout, which she listed 2 of her grandfathers as headmen of Koyo and Kabusma. And I felt it was time that we finally started speaking and I carry on my family's legacy of trying to protect what we have left. And when I took chairman, that's what I plan to do, is protect what we have and do what I can for my people.
And you're a young man. Can you describe how it is you became the tribal chairman?
I became tribal chairman after my uncle was our first tribal chairman, and then after some other chairman who fell through and kind of working through, I finally felt that it was time for me to take place. And when the opportunity presented itself, I told myself I was going to do what's best for my people and best for my tribe and best for my family.
And just if you can describe, besides you feeling the call to step forward, did it take a tribal confirmation, a council? How was it decided for you to become chairman?
Actually, I got the approval from my aunts and uncles who, I've ever since I was a young child, my mother died when I was very young. And my father always was with my grandmother and my aunts and uncles, and I always had older influences. And so they kind of encouraged me to go through with it, and I have been very happy with what I've been doing and supportive of my actions.
Curiosity, just before we get into the issue of the dam, are there any tribal meetings or gatherings that happen to continue the traditions?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And how would you describe that frequency, and how would you kind of...
I would say yearly. I mean, there's just different times where we have specific times for gathering. We have specific times when our girls become women. Or when our babies are born, we practice traditions. We have ceremony. And it's just, I remember someone talking to me before and wanting to know specific things, or, well, how did you know that's what it was? It's like, it's always been a part of me. I can't necessarily tell you when or what to do. It's like, it's something that you just do, because that's who I am, and that's how I was raised and who I was brought up to be.
Yeah, there's, and as Clyde was saying, there is annual gatherings. There's also seasonal gatherings. There's ceremonies. We do come out in the public for the Maidu dancers and traditionalists, but we're very, very careful. I see my picture in books. I see them in unauthorized settings, sometimes like, wow. My great-grandma, Wanda Enos, believed that we could not have pictures taken because it takes from us. But I understand and I'm sensitive to that, but I'm also sensitive to, unless you bring it forward and share it with the general public, then how do you educate them, provide the sensitivity of the indigenous peoples from this place, still carrying out, utilizing their language, their song, and dance? We, as our family, the Enos family, and the dance group, is that we're very, very cautious when we go out in the public. Very, very cautious. We have dance captains and people that protect us. People want to put their arm around us, take a picture of us, touch our regalia. That's a no-no. So there's a lot of protocol. And so we have to respect it, just similar to the church setting, because the ceremonial roundhouse is our church. And it faces to the east so that we greet the sun when it comes up and stuff. And so there's all kinds of ceremonies in different stages of life. Even in death, there's a certain protocol that's carried out. And, we still have our own family cemeteries. So we're more hyper-vigilant because we have to walk in balance in the red world and the white world. And sometimes they conflict each other. But we're we're very fortunate. We were brought up, there's 6 generations of my family on the dance floor, on that sacred place, doing those sacred songs that are oral history passed down, still doing the same regalia and those type of things. But it's a hard one to walk sometimes.
Yeah.
And you have to bring awareness to things, but you have to be sensitive, because some people are just, they still think that way, hunt buffalo, live in a teepee and powwow around. Powwow is not indigenous to this area.
That's a big one.
It's from over there in the plains area. And so, but sometimes when an indigenous peoples try to find a common ground and are from, if they came from like the boarding school where they were actually tortured, I can say that for my other half, shared with me that he was stolen from his reservation at 6 years of age, kept in captive until he was 18, ran away numerous times, but he got the bullwhip, and he had the welts to show us, the scars. Couldn't speak his language. Of course, his first language was his indigenous tongue. So he was terrorized a lot. And so you're marched to school, hair was cut, they couldn't talk to each other. He couldn't talk to his sisters and brothers who were there at that boarding school. And so that continued up until the 1972s. And it was the Department of War that, stole our children, kidnapped them, kept them captive. And in the summertime, they were sold into slavery to the local farmers, for that 5 cents a week. It was a hard life. And that, I'm just talking about, just one generation ago. So, there was a historical trauma, and, we can talk about all these things today. But we recognize what it is, what it was, and we heal from that, not forgetting, but remembering that those who walked before us, they had to go through all of this horrific things. Even here in Nevada County area, our people were marched from here, rounded up. They paid $5 a scalp for our people. And there was a bounty on our people, and the whole idea was to eliminate the native people or assimilate us. But we're stronger spirited, and because we have our connection to the land, we're not more or less than anyone else. But because we recognize that connection to the land recognizes us because we're from here, and when we speak our language, we tie that connection together, and it's interwoven. And I don't know how to say it. Sometimes I find fault with the English language because it doesn't say what I want to say. But if I say it in my language, then I got to interpret anyway the best I know how. So I just say it the best I know way, the way I am. So, but we're passionate about these things. But that's kind of the big picture, where we are today and where we move forward today. Well, then that's a whole different ball game.
Well, thank you, but maybe we can move to where the Bear River is and your connection to the Bear River before we even step into the issue of the dam. How about your connection to the river there?
The river's been a huge part of my upbringing, my childhood, everything. I used to go out there when I was younger with my father and my grandmother, and my father, which is Clyde Prout Jr., he used to fish out there, and he would show me things and show me how to do certain things, and I assumed everyone else knew how to do it, and then I found out it's a certain way that we live, not everyone else lives. And I think that's the thing that I'm finding the balance, like Wanda was talking about, Red Road and White Road, is finding that balance because it's not the same. And I think now, kind of having more experience in the world, I'm kind of like, there's a big difference.
So does the Bear River that's being proposed as a dam, does that have any historical value in terms
Absolutely.
of what the tribal connection to that area is?
It's all intertwined in who we are. We're from there. That was still is, growing up, just like the streets of Nevada City, the Kelly grandchildren would come, we'd take over. We didn't know any different, we rode our bikes, we swam in the, but this was our home because Grandma and Grandpa lived here. And then Grandma down, Wanda Enos in the Bear River, she'd go there and harvest medicinal plants and roots and herbs and stuff and willows for her baskets and stuff like that, and prepare foods right there on the water with us. And us kids being kids, we're throwing rocks and we're swimming but my grandmother calls it Kumanseo. Nemseo is my grandma's language for River of the Bear. Kumanseo is River of the Roundhouses, which makes it a whole different context. And I have ethnographic knowledge that that river is sacred in the sense that there's burial sites there. There's sacred cultural sites, there are traditional cultural properties there. And so this little tiny river, the last little free-flowing that man has not dammed up yet, it's sacred to us. And so when we heard that there was others planning to destroy that stretch of the free-flowing river because it's alive, then we took the task. And so I think we're in year 2 now, just coming out and saying what we have to say, because we certainly do not support that Centennial Dam.
So have you made your presence known to Nevada Irrigation District, and in what ways
Yes.
have you represented yourselves?
We just have to show up. We're brown in the crowd, so but yes, we have made our presence, and I said a few words a couple of weeks ago. So I think that it's the awareness too, when the indigenous people pulled together, because I'm very well aware that the Shingle Springs Band of Miwok Indians from El Dorado County and United Auburn Indians from Placer County do not support Centennial Dam, and they're the federally recognized tribes. And I know that we're reaching out to other federally recognized tribes in and around the area to use that leverage also. They are not supporting the Centennial Dam. And so as it's different, you have the haves and the have-nots. If you're federally recognized, of course, you have direct consultation with the state and county officials, and they have to meet with you in good faith, blah, blah, blah. I'll just say it that way. And then on this hand, the unrecognized, you're just like a normal citizen. But as an indigenous person, I don't feel there has to be a title behind anything. I can come to the table and say what I need to say anytime I want to.
Wanda on that. That's the common misconception. Is like, if you're not a recognized tribe, you don't have a voice. Like, well, I have a voice, and if you don't want to listen to me one way, then we'll find another way for you to listen to me.
So, Clyde, have you been at the NID meetings at all?
I've been to a few, and it's.
And so what is your sense? Because, there's this sense of crisis with water, as climate changes and water becomes more scarce. We're looking at options. So is there a common ground? Is there a way that people can come to any sense of agreement? Do you see that there's a possibility for mutual consent and agreement?
I think there is an awakening, especially with Standing Rock that happened last year. I think there's an awareness. I think people are, generally speaking, people are becoming more aware that water is life, water is sacred. My grandma used to tease us. She would say that the Wole, the others, live like rats in little box houses on top of each other. And I was like, for my grandma to say that, and being, way born in the 1800s and growing up with my grandmother, like, well, she was talking about apartment houses, kind of like, and then she'd say, and she goes, and then the Wole are going to take the water and put it in, you have to buy it and pay for it. And I go, duh. Now the things that she said then is already happening, and we accept it as the norm. I still buy Sparkletts water, where that comes from, I don't know, artesian well somewhere, but it's an awareness that's coming forward. And so I think, as I was talking earlier, that, having like-minded individuals who have an awareness in regards to conservation, their critical need of where we are, Mother Earth is mad at us and she's shifting. The Inuit have always said this, that, things are happening. Our traditional practitioners are saying things are happening. Every day, everything is disappearing, whether it is the animals or amphibians or vertebrae, whatever. Flowers and even some of our medicinal plants are gone where we used to gather. And then so you see this shift. And sometimes, it's going to be too late. And I think this is my prophecy. Mother Earth is going to say, later guys, and just blow up and we'll start all over again. But the way we're living now, we're not paying attention. And sometimes I think we have to go back to that traditional ancestral knowledge or wisdom and draw on that. But also it's just not going to be just the indigenous people, it must be all people. But a lot of it has to be the awareness and the education of how do we work together? Because we're all in this together. No matter what color skin, no matter what your beliefs are, how do we work together in a collaborative way to move forward? How do we do that? What is that strategy? You know, my strategy is totally different from yours or them or theirs. So, you know, how do we come together and make this happen? Because it's happening now.
Well, that in large part is the intention of these programs, is to help to develop dialogue. And I intentionally developed something that wasn't a panel to begin with. We may eventually form panels where we can speak to one another, but at this point it's a matter, in my mind, of paying attention, listening, trying to understand one another's point of view, and not becoming defensive or offensive.
Absolutely, yeah.
Exactly.
And really kind of taking stock, really. Cody, excuse me,
Clyde.
Clyde. I had a student of mine named Cody Prout.
It's okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's a relative or not, but so as a young man, and I consider you young, what's your take on this? How do you approach this whole controversy?
There has to be conversation somewhere, like we were talking about middle ground. And the middle ground is water, is how we go about it and how we protect it for all of us. It's something that we have to focus on. Because the conversation has to start, but we have to find the common ground, which is the water and how we're going to protect it and how we're going to preserve it. And I agree with Wanda that, in a sense, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Because traditionally we had uses for everything. We just let things naturally develop, naturally work, naturally go the way they're supposed to go. I believe that we're now more in a society that is bigger, better, and then it's not. Simpler works. Simpler is fine.
I think there's been like an insensitivity too, you know, and we're very well aware of the powers to be, you know, the government. But I'll be brief about that. But I've always believed that it takes a whole village for us to move forward, and in the perfect world, it would be a bunch of partners coming together to say, hey, this is what we can do to work towards this. Small little victories, and then building on that. And that's the reason we joined the Dam Watchdogs against Centennial Dam. My whole family joined, and then we joined the Circle because we believe in the philosophy that they have, the environmental, you know, and we're not only concerned about water, you know, we're concerned about a whole bunch of things, but, you know, you have this whole world view of everything, but what is the top 3 that we can do for this time? And so it's, and, you know, and we have our families, we have large families behind us. And so they've chosen us to be those spokespersons to bring this forward, and we have their support. And
you know, as you talked about large families, I just had this picture of your large families showing up, and what kind of power that would.
We can fill rooms.
It can, and it's powerful. We also know in our hearts that not only do those that are living that are relatives and stuff, but also we have our ancestors with us.
Right.
Absolutely.
So when we're speaking our language, I'm using that power of my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather, and I'm bringing it forward because that's who we are. I'm also half Washoe from over there, so, and I speak Washoe. And I used to be the former chairwoman of the Washoe Tribe, first woman ever elected. But after 20-some-odd years in politics, I'm done. Came back home. But you know,
you're not done.
Oh, I'm never done. No, it's just we're just shifting, you know, to what the other passion is. And so I just feel that you know, it would be in a perfect world having everyone come and show up. I mean, to just take up a ballroom. We're here. And sometimes when they only hear 3 or 4 people talking, then they're just like, well, it's just a few. My mother, who said she'll come, but it's hard for her to sit and hear and stuff, and then a lot of meetings are real long. And I've also gone into the California Water Commission meeting and spoke last month down there. So doors are opening up, and we're having the opportunity. The Wild and Scenic Film Festival was an opportunity to have an Indigenous voice there. There'll be more opportunities, and I think people are hungry for it. They want to know where the local Native American families or people, the Nisenan, What is their take on this, and how do we become good partners? And we're very receptive to that. And that's what we're going to work forward to, is bringing that forth, that education, because we have a lot to share.
And that sort of brings me to the sort of the name of the program. Where do we go from here? You've both mentioned the need for education, for understanding, for developing not just a common ground, but a common language that we can agree upon and move forward with. Any parting comments that you'd like to make?
I think we're just scratching the surface right now, and we're going to have a higher visibility, and we have a little movie coming out. I see the workshop we had at the Wild and Scenic, I see it on YouTube being circulated around. I see different cultural events. Clyde will be hosting one in Colfax in August, and so and then we're going to do some more Bear River things down at the river, living history. We had basketry. We had a panel of elders. We had numerous different indigenous activities that are coming forward. I think bringing that out also will help. But also, we look to the audience to invite us. We want to be at the table too. A wise tribal leader said, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So I always use that. Is there anything you want to add?
I like that.
It's true.
Like Wanda said, I think we're just scratching the surface of things. I feel the Wild and Scenic, when we first actually spoke there, it opened a door, it opened a gate that I think people got more of, these are Nisenan people. And before we were just kind of lumped in with my idea, we were just lumped in with, that's very broad. So it's like to actually know our name, Nisenan, opened more doors, and now people are more receptive, they're more wanting to learn. And I don't think this is the end of the conversation for us. I feel like this is just the start. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's in store. Like, because we can talk about recognition, we can talk about the boarding schools, we can talk about a whole bunch of stuff that people haven't, I think they might have been afraid to speak or talk about. And we're just finding the balance of how to actually speak and talk about it. And like Wanda said, Colfax-Todds Valley Consolidated Tribe is going to be holding an event in August, actually August 25th. Will be our first kind of reintroduction into Colfax's community.
And describe that.
It's going to be just a cultural event, more kind of reintroducing California culture, specifically Nisenan culture. We're going to have the Mighty dancers and traditionalists there. We'll have food, we'll have...
So it's a public event. Public
absolutely,
is invited.
yeah, absolutely, yes.
What day was that?
August 25th.
And that's a Saturday?
Yes.
What time?
10 to 4.
Where at?
At the Sierra Vista Community Center?
Yeah, Sierra
Yes,
Vista
I had to think
Community
about
Center in Colfax, California.
You're a good combination.
Yeah.
We're cousins, that's why.
Yeah.
Or we're relatives. Yeah.
I want to thank Wanda Enos Batchelor from the Kelly family of Nevada City, and also Clyde Prout III, Tribal Chairman, Colfax-Todds Valley Consolidated Tribe.
Yes.
Great to have you both.
Thank you for the
having us.
invite. We look forward to having more of these.
Yeah.
We're just-
Well, this is an ongoing conversation. We're not finished. We won't be finished. Who knows how long. Hopefully we'll continue to talk, develop common ground, listen to one another, and learn and help figure out where do we go from here. Thank you.